And welcome back everybody to another day in the Freedom and Company garage. Today we are working on our exhaust finally. So before we get started, guys, I just want to give a huge shout out to Woodcraft for giving us a fantastic deal on some of their amazing parts here. So we're running some Woodcraft handlebars with risers and stuff on our Grom, and these will be the final handlebars that we are running on here instead of those ugly ones we had on there before. And they also hooked us up with a full rear set package, as well as some stator covers and water pump covers over here. All these parts are going to look fantastic on here. So what was kind of preventing us from working on some of this stuff earlier in the week was when we started laying things out with our muffler and our downpipe, we figured out that we need to know what clearances we need for our rear brake master cylinder here in the rear set in order to know where our muffler is going to sit down here. So we needed to get this stuff in before we could build that. So like we showed you in our little update video, we have this awesome exhaust from M4 who also helped us out with getting a fantastic deal on this muffler system here. Then we also have some stainless steel mandrel bends that we will be using to custom fabricate a full header system from here all the way down out the back there. So we needed to run a full custom system instead of kind of a stock FZ07 style exhaust because the stock FZ exhaust comes out too far out of the head, and we need all the room we can get in here for our radiator. So what we're going to end up having to do is cut off this flange up here and grind this out, make this nice and open. That way we can slip some of these mandrel bends in here. This is the tightest radius pipe or tube that we can get that will exit these headers as tight and close to the block as possible, work the way down and out and around the bottom. That way we will retain as much room as possible for our radiator in here. So that is the plan for these guys. We're going to get these cleaned up, cut off, and die ground out. That way we can stuff those bends in those collars, and then we're going to get our rear sets bolted on here. That way we know what we have to route our exhaust around. So here we go. Alrighty guys, so we got our rear sets all put together now, and these things look awesome. So we got these from Woodcraft, and they just, the fit and finish on these is fantastic. So everything is all modular, so everything unbolts. That way if you damage one particular part, you can easily replace just that component instead of multiple things. And they're designed in the way that if you do wreck, stuff like these pegs, like this peg here, has a breakaway zone. That way if you hit this end here, hopefully this will break off and skid on here. If you had a solid peg, you're more likely to kind of dig in somewhere and the bike flipping. So now that those are on, we can start kind of mocking up where we are going to be putting our muffler over here and kind of start laying out how we want to route some of our piping. Alrighty guys, so we have our exhaust all mounted up right where it needs to be, so you can see it tucks in just perfect underneath our rear sets here. We taped everything off because we don't want to scratch that nice carbon fiber in there. So it's sitting right where it needs to be, right in here. So we've got that little nice notch in the oil pan right where that exhaust is going to sit. We have everything prepped up here, and then we went ahead and cut off our flanges from the existing exhaust pipes. So these are what we're going to be welding to, and this is what seats into the head of the engine. So we've prepped these up, we've prepped the flanges up, and we've got all of our nice mandrel bent tubing ready for us to start cutting. But it is getting dark, it's getting cold, so I think we're going to call it for tonight, and we will resume tomorrow morning. But now we've got a plan, we know what we're doing, so we have a good starting point. Come on, Coop, get it!
He doesn't like soccer. He's American.
All right, guys, so we're just waiting on a few things to cool down, but it is a new day. We finished up getting our flanges all taken care of. So as you guys saw, we got the flange tacked to the collar in here, and then we welded them up. So everything turned out really nice on here. So you can see those welds all around the outside, and then we made sure to keep that mating surface nice and flat on here, and then we also do get that gasket in there, so we shouldn't have any issues with these sealing up. So that is what this looks like off the bike. Then on the bike, it sits just right on here, and then this is where we are going to start welding our other tubes. So let's see, something like this will end up going in there, and then we'll weld that seam and go down around there. So next steps are we're going to start laying some stuff out, start actually cutting some of this tubing up, laying it out, mocking it up, and trying to get that point down to that point. Alrighty guys, so we have our first exhaust runner done. So when I originally kind of thought about all this exhaust stuff, I had ordered a few different series of bends at different center line radiuses or radii for this 1.5 inch stainless steel tubing, and turns out all I needed was one 180-degree bend or 290s and some straight. This is just what ended up working out the best. I had originally kind of planned on going down, hugging the block there, coming back around and into the exhaust, but this ended up giving us just as much room and was pretty simple there. So we didn't end up needing anything else. So the stock FC headers exit the head here, kind of go straight out for like 4 inches and then loop back around, and that obviously is not going to work with this build because we still have to fit our radiator in there, and we do have enough room for our radiator. However, we might have to get creative with our fans because we are going to be pushing it with space. So we have had the forks at full compression and at full lock, and there is plenty of room for the radiator itself, but when we start getting closer there, we are running out of room for those fans. So we will figure something out on that. And then we do plan on wrapping this exhaust with some exhaust wrap, as well as possibly a ceramic coat to try to keep all of that heat in there and away from our radiator. But we will just kind of end up seeing what fits best and how everything works out. Okay guys, so our exhaust is all welded up now. So you watched us weld all of our connection points all the way through. So we welded everything from our flanges all the way down to our connection slip-in joints right in here. So everything turned out really nice. All the welds turned out all right. We purged everything so that way everything is nice and clean on the insides as well. And as you can see, our final kind of layout, we have our two pipes coming from our muffler as well down from the head, and then we kind of did a little duck around our oil filter right in here to try to give that as much clearance as possible. And then we also tucked everything as tightly as we can up against our engine block there. So we are going to have to end up exhaust wrapping all this stuff, as well as possible heat shields, just because everything is so close to other components there. Plus we need to get our radiator in here as well, and we don't want all that ambient heat radiating onto our radiator. So we're going to go ahead and wrap all that stuff at some point and possibly ceramic coat it just to help with that heat as well. But enough of that. We are super excited and we want to get this thing started up to hear what it sounds like. So we are going to make a last few little connections here, and we will go ahead and fire it up. All right, so we got the mic flipped around. So we are going to go ahead and fire it up. So here goes nothing. So everything turned out really nice on this thing. It sounds fantastic, and if you ask us, it is the beefiest sounding Grom we have ever heard, at least. So let us know what you guys think of how this thing sounds. We love it. We have the M4 exhausts on all of our bikes. We've got it on this now. We've got it on Paul's FC. We've got it on the FC09 over here. So again, huge shout out to M4 for giving us a big hookup on this exhaust muffler over here. And then we built our headers going down to that. And huge shout out to Woodcraft for hooking us up with a good discount on some of their fantastic parts. So these bars up here that are going to be our final bars look absolutely amazing. And these rear sets turned out awesome as well. So thank you guys so much for the support there. We couldn't do it without awesome companies like you guys. So that is going to wrap up today. We got our exhaust completely done. We just have a few final little things to touch up when we can. So we're going to wrap everything, get it ceramic coated, at least these header pipes here. And then we were missing one little exhaust gasket up in here. So if you heard a little ticking, that's coming from in here because we're missing one of the copper gaskets. So that is already on its way. We just have to throw that in there. So that will complete our exhaust system on this bike for now, until we have a few other little projects going on. But this is how we're going to be running it. It turned out super nice. We have got plenty of room for a radiator in here, and that is what we are going to be working on next. So stay tuned for more videos coming out here in the near future. We're going to be working on our radiator and our cooling system. That way we can actually keep this bike running for longer than a few minutes at a time so it doesn't overheat. And then we've got a few suspension mods in the rear we're going to be doing. So we're going to swap out this swing arm for a completely different setup, as well as a few tweaks in here, and then a whole nother axle setup. So a lot of changes coming, but we got everything running. We got that exhaust done, and that was a huge step for us. So as always, guys, if you like what we're doing, if you like these types of videos, please just take a second to subscribe to our channel, like this video, check out our Patreon account via the link below. Every dollar that y'all donate really helps, goes towards this thing here, and helping us achieve that 150 mile per hour goal. So this thing is looking like a beast already, and it's only going to get better from here. So keep an eye out for future videos, and let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you guys, and we will see you next time. What do you think, Coop? You like that? I think Cooper approves.